Your bank account is stealing from you right now. You heard that right. That fat balance you're so proud of, it's a trap. While you sleep, while you eat, while you're watching this video, your hard-earned money is evaporating. And the worst part? You're letting it happen because someone convinced you this was being responsible. I'm Cash Ethan, and I'm about to show you the exact dollar amount you should never exceed in your bank account, because anything above that number is literally destroying your financial future. This isn't some conspiracy theory or clickbait nonsense. This is math, cold hard facts, and the uncomfortable truth that your bank definitely doesn't want you to know. Most people think I'm crazy when I say you can have too much money in the bank. Cash is king, right? That's what everyone's been telling you since you got your first piggy bank as a kid. Save. Watch that number grow. Feel proud when you see those digits climb higher and higher. Dead wrong. See, while you're staring at that beautiful balance, thinking you've made it, thinking you're financially responsible, inflation is working the night shift on your wallet. Every single day, every single hour, every single minute, your purchasing power is bleeding out. It's like having a tire with a slow leak. You don't notice it at first. The car still drives fine, everything seems normal. But eventually, you're driving on rims, your car's destroyed, and you're sitting there wondering what the hell happened and why nobody warned you. The Federal Reserve targets 2% inflation annually. 2%. Sounds harmless, right? Almost insignificant, but let me break this down for you in a way that'll make your stomach turn. You've got $10,000 sitting pretty in your savings account, earning maybe 0.5% interest if you're lucky. And that's being generous because most traditional savings accounts pay even less than that. With 2% inflation running in the background, you're losing 1.5% of your purchasing power every single year. That means your $10,000 today can only buy what $9,850 could buy just 12 months later. After 1 year of doing absolutely nothing wrong, of being responsible and saving, you've lost $150 in real value. And it compounds. Year after year after year, that leak gets bigger and bigger. But here's where it gets absolutely brutal, where the real pain sets in. We're not just talking about some abstract economic concept or numbers on a spreadsheet. Let's talk about real life, the stuff you actually buy and need. Remember when that Chipotle burrito cost you $8? Good times, right? Now it's $12. That's a 50% increase in just a few years. Your burrito doesn't have more chicken, more guac, more anything. It's the same burrito, but your dollars are worth less, so you pay more. That new car that was $38,000 a few years back? Try $48,000 today. That's 10 grand more for basically the same vehicle with maybe some updated tech. Your rent, your groceries, your gas, your healthcare, your insurance, your utilities, everything's climbing while your savings account sits there like a deer in headlights doing absolutely nothing about it. Let me paint you an even clearer picture. If you had $100,000 sitting in a savings account 5 years ago, sure, you still have $100,000 today. Maybe $102,000 if you got lucky with interest rates. But what that money can actually buy, you've lost somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 in purchasing power, depending on your spending patterns. That's a brand new car. That's a year of college tuition. That's a down payment on a house in some markets. Gone, evaporated, stolen by inflation while you thought you were being smart. This isn't financial security, friends. This is financial suicide in slow motion, and nobody's talking about it because banks don't want you to know. They're making an absolute fortune off your fear while you're losing ground every single day. So what's the magic number? What's the maximum amount you should keep in that account before you're actively sabotaging yourself? Here it is, plain and simple. No sugarcoating. 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Not income. And this is crucial: expenses. Big difference. Huge difference. Most people mess this up completely, and it costs them dearly. If you spend $4,000 a month on bills, rent, food, utilities, transportation, and everything else you actually need to survive, then you should have between $12,000 and $24,000 in your emergency fund. That's it. That's the ceiling. Everything above that? It's excess cash that's begging to work for you somewhere else, but instead it's just sitting there losing a fight with inflation that it can never ever win. But here's where people completely blow it, where they sabotage themselves without even realizing it. They calculate based on their income instead of their expenses. Guy making $6,000 a month thinks he needs $36,000 for 6 months of emergency fund, but he only spends $3,500 a month. He's keeping an extra $15,000 in his account that should be working for him. Or they convince themselves they need 12 months, 18 months, even 2 years saved up in case the apocalypse hits, and they never work again. The economy collapses, and they need to survive the financial end times. That's not financial planning. That's financial paranoia disguised as responsibility. And it's costing you an absolute fortune that you'll never get back. Let me show you the real damage with some numbers that'll wake you up. Say you've got $50,000 in your bank account, but you only need $20,000 for a solid 6-month emergency fund. That extra $30,000 sitting there doing nothing? If you invested it in a diversified portfolio with a 7% average annual return, which is actually below the historical stock market average, that money could turn into over $60,000 in 10 years. Some years it'll be up, some years it'll be down, but over a decade, that's where you'd land. But no, you leave it in your savings account, where it might grow to $31,000 if you're incredibly lucky, and find one of those rare high-yield accounts. You just cost yourself nearly $30,000 by playing it too safe. $30,000. That's not a small amount. That's not rounding error. That's not safe money. That's expensive money. That's the cost of your fear, and it's way higher than you thought. And we haven't even talked about opportunity cost beyond just basic investing. What if you use that $30,000 to start a side business that generates $1,000 a month in passive income? That's $12,000 a year, $120,000 over 10 years, not counting growth. What if you invested in yourself, got a certification or advanced degree that increased your salary by $15,000 a year? Over a decade, that's $150,000 in additional income. What if you bought a rental property that appreciated and generated cash flow? The possibilities are endless, but they're all closed off to you when your money's locked in a savings account, earning nothing while inflation eats it alive. Now, if you're getting value from this, if this is opening your eyes and changing how you think about your money, do me a solid right now. Smash that like button and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Seriously, I guarantee you have at least 3 friends making the exact same mistake right now, thinking they're being responsible while they're actually getting robbed. You could save them literally thousands of dollars just by sending them this video. Takes 2 seconds, costs you nothing, and it helps the algorithm show this to more people who desperately need to hear it. Plus, it tells me you want more content like this that actually moves the needle on your finances instead of the same recycled advice everyone else is giving you. I know exactly what you're thinking right now. I can hear it already. But Cash, what if the stock market crashes? What if I invest everything and lose it all? What if there's another 2008? What if COVID happens again? What if? Here's the brutal, uncomfortable truth about financial fear that nobody wants to acknowledge. It's usually based on worst-case scenarios that almost never happen. And when they do happen, when markets do crash and everything looks terrible, they're temporary. Markets recover. They always have. But you know what's not temporary? The guaranteed loss from inflation and missed opportunities happening right now, today, this month, this year, every single year. That's not a what if, that's a guarantee. You're losing money sitting in cash right now while we're having this conversation. The stock market has crashed before. We're not pretending it hasn't. The dot-com bubble burst in 2000, wiped out trillions in value. The 2008 financial crisis, the Great Recession, banks failing, people losing homes. COVID in 2020, market dropped 34% in a month. Fastest bear market in history. Scary stuff. But here's what they don't show you in the headlines when they're freaking everyone out. Every single time, every single crash, patient investors who stayed the course and didn't panic came out ahead. Not just ahead, way ahead. The S&P 500 has delivered around 10% average annual returns over the long term despite all these crashes. From October 2024 to recent months, the market gained over 15% in just a few months. But you missed it because your money was safe in the bank. Safe from gains, safe from growth, safe from building wealth. Let's get real about your specific situation, though, because I know everyone's different, and what works for one person might not work for another. A 25-year-old single person with a stable job, no dependents, no major obligations, healthy, living in a cheap apartment, 3 months of expenses is probably plenty. You're young, you're flexible, you can adapt quickly if something goes wrong. Worst-case scenario, you move back with parents for a bit. You crash on a friend's couch, you figure it out. A 50-year-old with a family, 3 kids, mortgage, car payments, variable income from commissions or freelancing, health issues, aging parents to potentially support? Yeah, maybe you need closer to 6 months, possibly even toward the higher end of that range. The key is being brutally, painfully honest about your actual needs versus your imaginary fears, the scenarios you've built up in your head that have never happened and probably never will. And let's talk about the psychology here, because this is where it gets really interesting, where the rubber meets the road. Many of you aren't keeping massive bank balances because you've carefully calculated it's the optimal financial strategy. You haven't run the numbers, haven't compared opportunity costs, haven't thought about inflation. You're doing it because it feels secure. It feels good. You log into your bank app, you see that big number, and dopamine hits your brain. You feel successful. You feel safe. You feel like you've made it. You can see the exact number, down to the penny. It doesn't move around and stress you out like stocks. It's there whenever you want it. Instant access, instant gratification. That psychological comfort, that warm, fuzzy feeling, is costing you absolutely everything. While you're feeling secure about your big balance, getting that little dopamine hit every time you check your account, you're actually becoming less secure financially. Every day that passes, you're less secure, not more. Real security, actual financial security that can't be taken away, doesn't come from a number in a savings account. It comes from growing your wealth faster than inflation, building multiple income streams that can't all disappear at once, developing skills that make you valuable in the marketplace, creating a network of people and opportunities. That's real security. A pile of depreciating cash? That's the illusion of security, and it's expensive. And here's something that'll absolutely blow your mind when you really think about it. Banks love it. They absolutely love it when you keep large balances in low-interest accounts. They're not doing you a favor. They're not providing a service out of the goodness of their hearts. They take your money, your hard-earned cash that you worked overtime for, stressed over, sacrificed for, and they lend it out to other customers at way higher interest rates. You give them money at 0.5% interest, they turn around and lend it out for mortgages at 7%, car loans at 6%, credit cards at 20%. They're using your deposits as cheap capital to generate massive profits while you earn basically nothing. It's a fantastic deal for them, an absolute goldmine, and a terrible deal for you. But they've done an incredible marketing job, spent billions on advertising, convincing you that this arrangement is normal, that you're the smart one for keeping your money with them. They've created this entire narrative, this story that cash equals safety and investments equal risk. They've got it in commercials and billboards, in the subtle messages that permeate our culture. Save for a rainy day. Keep your money safe. FDIC insured up to $250,000. All technically true, but they conveniently ignore, they never mention, the very real risk of inflation eating your lunch every single day. They don't tell you that the safety they're providing is costing you thousands or tens of thousands in lost opportunity. They don't mention that FDIC insurance protects the dollar amount, but not the purchasing power. Your $100,000 is safe in the sense that you'll always have $100,000, but what that $100,000 can buy, that's not protected. That's fair game for inflation to destroy. So what do you actually do with that excess money? Where should it go instead? Start simple. Don't overcomplicate this. A diversified portfolio of low-cost index funds is the foundation for most people. This isn't some complicated get-rich-quick scheme. It's not day trading. It's not timing the market. It's not picking individual stocks and trying to be the next Warren Buffett. It's simply buying small pieces of thousands of different companies through index funds and letting capitalism do what it does best over long periods of time. You're not betting on any single company. You're betting on the economy as a whole, on human innovation, on the fact that over time, businesses create value, and that value flows to shareholders. Historically, diversified stock portfolios have delivered strong returns that not only beat inflation, but crush it, leaving cash savings in the dust. If the thought of putting any money in the stock market makes you break out in a cold sweat, if you're feeling that anxiety rising in your chest right now, start small. Don't go from 0 to 100 overnight. Take just the amount above your 6-month emergency fund, calculate that number, and invest half of it. Just half. Keep the other half in your savings account if it helps you sleep at night. If it gives you that psychological comfort you need as you watch your investments grow over time, as you see them go up and down but trend upward, as you get more comfortable with the reality instead of the fear, you can gradually shift more of your excess cash into productive assets. Baby steps are fine. Baby steps that move forward are infinitely better than staying frozen in place. Real estate is another option absolutely worth considering if you've got enough capital, though it's definitely not as liquid as stocks and requires more hands-on management or paying someone to manage for you. If you have significant excess cash sitting around, enough to make a meaningful real estate investment, You might consider buying rental properties that generate monthly cash flow and appreciate over time, or investing in REITs, real estate and trusts, that pay dividends and give you real estate exposure without the hassle of being a landlord. Real estate has historically been an excellent hedge against inflation because property values and rents tend to rise right along with the general price level. When everything gets more expensive, your property gets more expensive too, but you bought it at yesterday's prices with yesterday's dollars. Or if you're entrepreneurial, if you've got that business mindset, if you've been thinking about starting something on the side, that excess cash could be the seed money for something that changes your entire financial trajectory. Invest in yourself through education. Get certifications that increase your earning power. Develop skills that make you more valuable in the marketplace, or use it as startup capital for a side business that could eventually replace your main income. The ROI, the return on investment from learning high-value skills or building income-generating businesses, can absolutely demolish any traditional investment returns. That $20,000 sitting uselessly in your account doing nothing, losing value every day, could fund a certification program that leads to a $20,000 raise. That's a 100% return in year one, then you keep earning that extra money year after year. Or it could be the capital to start an online business, a side hustle that generates $2,000 a month in passive income. Do the math on that over 5 or 10 years, and it's not even close. But here's where most people get completely stuck, paralyzed, frozen in place for months or years. They know they should do something. Deep down, they know their money's not working for them. They've read articles, watched videos, listened to podcasts, but they spend 6 months researching the perfect investment strategy, comparing Vanguard versus Fidelity versus Schwab, debating S&P 500 versus total market, trying to figure out if now is a good time, or if they should wait. They spend another 3 months comparing real estate markets, looking at cap rates and cash-on-cash returns. They bookmark courses they're thinking about taking someday. Meanwhile, the clock is ticking. Inflation keeps eating away at their purchasing power every single day they delay. Every single hour they wait for perfect information that doesn't exist. Time is the most valuable asset in investing because of compound growth. And they're wasting it waiting for certainty in an uncertain world. The perfect investment strategy doesn't exist. There's no holy grail, no secret formula that works for everyone in every situation. The perfect time to start investing was yesterday, 10 years ago, when you first had money to invest. The second best time is right now, today, this moment. Not next week after you do more research. Not next month when you feel more ready. Not next year when things settle down. Right now. You don't need to have everything figured out, every detail planned, every possible scenario accounted for. You just need to start moving your money from assets that are guaranteed to lose value like cash and savings into assets that have a reasonable, historically proven chance of growing over time. Imperfect action beats perfect inaction every single time. When you actually implement this strategy, when you take action and start keeping the right amount in your bank account instead of hoarding excess cash, you'll probably feel uncomfortable at first. I'm not going to lie to you and say it's all sunshine and rainbows from day one. That's normal. That's expected. That's actually a good sign. You've been conditioned since childhood, programmed by parents and teachers and society and advertising to believe that cash in the bank equals security. It's been drilled into your head for decades. So reducing your bank balance, seeing that number get smaller instead of bigger, triggers anxiety. Your brain is telling you you're doing something wrong, something dangerous. But this discomfort, this anxiety, means you're breaking out of the comfort zone that was keeping you stuck, keeping you poor, keeping you from building real wealth. Within the first year of implementing this strategy, usually even sooner, you'll notice something really interesting happening to your mindset, to the way you think about money fundamentally. Instead of focusing on accumulating cash. Now, super important disclaimer that I need to make crystal clear. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't have any fancy licenses on my wall, and this is absolutely not financial advice in any legal sense. This is educational content based on general principles, historical data, and common strategies, but I don't know your specific situation. I don't know your debts, your goals, your risk tolerance, your timeline. Always do your own research. Think critically, and consult with a qualified financial professional who knows your complete financial picture before making any investment decisions. What works for most people might not work for you. Your situation is unique. Stay smart out there.